I never thought the happiest day of my pregnancy would become the moment I realized my family had been using me for years. But sometimes the most painful truths come wrapped in the simplest betrayals. My name is Samantha, and at 32, I thought I had it all figured out. Married to my college sweetheart David for 6 years, we'd been trying for a baby for 3 of those years. When that positive pregnancy test finally appeared, I cried happy tears for an hour straight. David and I had dreamed of this moment, planned for it, saved for it. By month 8, I was glowing with excitement about meeting our little miracle. That's when I decided to throw myself a baby shower. Nothing too fancy, just family and a few close friends gathering to celebrate our baby girl on her way. I'd been planning it for weeks, sending invitations, buying decorations, ordering a cake shaped like a tiny bassinet. The theme was Welcome Little Princess in soft pinks and golds. I'd even handwritten little notes to each family member about how excited I was to share this special day with them. You see, my family had always been everything to me. I'm the youngest of 3 kids, and I'd always been the reliable one. When Mom's car insurance auto-pay mysteriously stopped working 3 years ago, I stepped in without question. $180 a month, every month, for 36 months. That's $6,480, but who's counting? When my brother Jake lost his job 8 months ago and couldn't make his mortgage payments, I covered $1,200 a month without hesitation. My sister Michelle's credit card debt spiraled out of control 2 years back, and somehow I became her $300 monthly payment plan. But that's what family does, right? We take care of each other. When Mom needed emergency dental work, I paid the $2,000 bill. When Jake's car broke down, I covered the $1,500 in repairs. When Michelle wanted to throw her daughter a birthday party she couldn't afford, I handed over $800 for the venue and decorations. Christmas, birthdays, anniversaries. I was always the one making sure everyone felt special. Everyone felt loved. I never kept track because I never thought I needed to. These were the people who would be there for me when I needed them most, the people who would celebrate my victories and comfort me through my struggles, the people who would absolutely, without question, show up for my baby shower. Saturday, October 14th, 2 p.m. sharp. I'd been up since 6 that morning, hanging streamers and setting up tables in our living room. Pink and gold balloons bobbed from every corner, and I'd arranged fresh flowers in mason jars as centerpieces. The cake sat perfectly centered on our dining table, surrounded by carefully wrapped gifts David and I had bought to make the gift table look fuller. I'd made finger sandwiches, bought sparkling cider, and even created a playlist of soft background music. By 1:30, I was dressed in my favorite maternity dress, the blue one that made my eyes pop and showed off my bump beautifully. I kept checking my phone, expecting to see messages like, "On my way," or "running 5 minutes late." But my screen stayed silent. 2 o'clock came and went, then 2:15, 2:30. By 2:45, I was standing in my empty living room, 8 months pregnant, surrounded by decorations that suddenly felt like a cruel joke. The silence was deafening, except for the cheerful playlist still chiming through our speakers, mocking me with its upbeat tempo. My hands were shaking as I finally called my mom. She answered on the 4th ring, her voice casual and distracted. "Oh, hi, honey. What's up?" "Mom, it's 2:45. The baby shower started at 2. Where is everyone? There was a pause. Not the pause of someone suddenly remembering something important they'd forgotten. Not the pause of panic or regret. Just a pause of mild confusion. Oh, honey, we didn't think it was that important. It's just a baby shower. Just a baby shower. Those 5 words hit me like a physical blow. I actually stepped backward, my free hand instinctively moving to protect my belly. Just a baby shower, my first baby. The grandchild they'd been asking about for years. The niece my siblings claimed they couldn't wait to spoil. Just a baby shower. What do you mean it's just a baby shower? I managed to whisper. Well, you know, Sam, you're not exactly having a baby shower for anyone else. It's kind of, I don't know, unnecessary. We figured you and David had everything handled. You always do. You always do. There it was. The assumption that had been driving our family dynamic for years without me even realizing it. Samantha has everything handled. Samantha doesn't need anything. Samantha just gives and asks for nothing in return. So why would she need anything now? Mom, I sent invitations 3 weeks ago. I texted everyone last week to confirm. I made food. I decorated. My voice cracked and I couldn't finish. Sweetie, you're being a little dramatic. It's not like it's your wedding or something important like that. Maybe we can all get together next weekend instead? Dramatic. I was being dramatic for wanting my family to celebrate my first child with me. I was being dramatic for expecting the people I'd supported financially and emotionally for years to show up for 2 hours on a Saturday afternoon. Actually, Mom, never mind. Don't worry about it. See, I knew you'd understand. You're so reasonable, honey. That's what I love about you. I hung up and sat down heavily on my couch, staring at the empty chairs I'd arranged in a circle for party games. The baby kicked hard against my ribs, as if she could sense my distress. I rubbed my belly and whispered, "It's okay, little one. Mommy's got you." That's when my phone buzzed with the family group chat. The one where Mom, Jake, Michelle, and I had been sharing memes and making plans for months. I opened it to see an active conversation happening right now. Jake. Anyone want to catch the game at Murphy's tonight? Michelle. I'm in. Mom, you coming? Mom. Absolutely, I'll pick you up at 6, Michelle. Jake. Perfect. See you guys there. I stared at my phone in disbelief. They were making plans right now. While I sat in my empty living room, 8 months pregnant, surrounded by decorations for a party none of them bothered to attend. They weren't busy with emergencies or family crises. They were going to watch football at a sports bar. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. Part of me wanted to type something angry, something hurt, something that would make them understand how devastated I felt. But instead, I found myself typing something else entirely. No worries about today, everyone. Family first. Then I did something I'd never done before. I left the group chat. As I sat there in the silence, surrounded by pink and gold decorations, and the scent of untouched finger sandwiches, something shifted inside me. It wasn't just anger or hurt, though those feelings were certainly there. It was something colder, sharper, clarity. For years, I'd been operating under the assumption that family meant unconditional support flowed both ways, that the people you love and care for will naturally love and care for you in return, that showing up for others guarantees they'll show up for you. But as I looked around my empty living room, I realized I'd been wrong. I'd been so wrong. I walked to my computer and opened my banking app. If my baby shower wasn't important enough for them to remember, maybe it was time to evaluate what was actually important to me. I started scrolling through 3 years of automatic payments, transfers, and emergency loans. The numbers stared back at me like evidence in a criminal case. Mom's car insurance, $180, automatically deducted from my account every month for 36 months straight, $6,480. Jake's mortgage assistance, $1,200 a month for 8 months while he got back on his feet, $9,600. Michelle's credit card payments, $300 monthly for 24 months, to help her rebuild her credit, $7,200. Emergency dental work for Mom, $2,000. Jake's car repairs, $1,500. Michelle's daughter's birthday party, $800. Christmas gifts for the entire extended family for the past 3 years, roughly $4,000. Various emergencies and temporary help, approximately $6,000. The total was staggering, $38,580. In 3 years, I had given my family nearly $40,000. Not loaned, given, because none of it had ever been paid back, and none of it had ever been expected to be paid back. $40,000 to people who couldn't spare 2 hours on a Saturday afternoon for my baby shower. I leaned back in my chair, one hand on my belly, and smiled for the first time since 2 o'clock. It wasn't a happy smile. It was the smile of someone who had just figured out exactly what they were going to do next. Monday morning arrived crisp and clear. I'd spent the weekend in a strange state of calm, planning with the methodical precision of someone who had finally seen the truth of their situation. David had been supportive but concerned about my sudden shift from devastated to eerily composed. "Are you sure about this, Sam?" he asked over breakfast, watching me review a list I'd made on my laptop. "I've never been more sure of anything in my life," I replied, taking a sip of my pregnancy-safe herbal tea. If a baby shower celebrating their first grandchild and niece isn't important enough to remember, then maybe they need to be reminded what actually is important to them. I started at 6 a.m. with Mom's car insurance, 3 clicks on the insurance company's website, and the automatic payment was canceled. The policy would lapse in 2 weeks when the current month expired. At 7 a.m., I called Jake's mortgage company. It took 20 minutes on hold and a conversation with 2 different representatives, but I successfully removed myself as an authorized payer on his account. The $1,200 payment scheduled for the 15th would not be coming from my account. 8 a.m. brought Michelle's credit card company. Another 20-minute call, another authorization removal. Her $300 minimum payment that kept her account current? No longer my responsibility. By 9 a.m., I was on a roll. I canceled the family Netflix account that I'd been paying for, $20 monthly for 2 years. The family Spotify premium plan, $15 monthly for 18 months. I transferred my share of the family emergency fund, a savings account I'd been contributing $200 to monthly for years, while everyone else contributed maybe $50. Back to my personal account. Then I did something that felt particularly satisfying. I logged into the shared family Google Calendar, where I'd been tracking everyone's birthdays, anniversaries, and important dates, and I removed myself as an administrator, No more reminder texts about Mom's dentist appointments or Michelle's kids' school events. No more coordinating family dinners or holiday plans. By 10 a.m., I was done. In 4 hours, I had systematically removed myself from every financial obligation I'd taken on for my family. I had reclaimed nearly $600 in monthly recurring payments and roughly $2,000 in shared account contributions. I made myself a cup of tea and sat in the nursery. David and I had been preparing for our daughter. The walls were painted a soft lavender, and we'd assembled the crib last weekend. In 12 weeks, this room would hold the most important person in my life. Someone who would depend on me completely, who would need me to be strong and smart and protective. Someone who deserved a mother who knew her own worth. My phone started ringing at 11 a.m. Mom's name flashed across the screen. I let it go to voicemail, then listened to the message while folding tiny onesies. "Samantha, honey, I just got a call from the insurance company saying my car insurance was canceled. I think there might be some mistake with the automatic payment. Can you call me back?" At noon, Jake called. His voicemail was more frantic. "Sam, I just checked my mortgage account online and it says no payment is scheduled for the 15th. I thought you were handling that. I can't make that payment right now, and if I miss it, they'll start foreclosure proceedings. Call me back as soon as you get this." Michelle's call came at 2 p.m., just as I was eating lunch. "Samantha, what the hell? My credit card payment was supposed to go through today, and it didn't. My account is going to go past due, and my credit score will tank. You know I can't afford the minimum payment right now. What happened?" I listened to all 3 voicemails while David rubbed my shoulders. He'd taken the afternoon off work to be with me, sensing this was going to be a difficult day. "Are you going to call them back?" he asked gently. "Eventually," I said, placing my hands on my belly. "But not today. Today, I want them to sit with the consequences of their choices. Just like I sat in an empty living room on Saturday, experiencing the consequences of believing my family actually cared about me." My phone buzzed with text messages throughout the afternoon. First from Mom, asking me to call about the insurance mix-up. Then from Jake, increasingly panicked messages about his mortgage. Michelle sent a string of texts that progressed from confused to angry to desperately pleading. But what struck me most was what wasn't happening. None of them mentioned the baby shower. None of them apologized for missing it. None of them seemed to make any connection between their sudden financial emergencies and the way they'd treated me on Saturday. It was like they existed in a completely different reality, where I was simply a financial resource that had mysteriously stopped working, rather than a pregnant family member they'd deeply hurt. That evening, I got a notification that a new group chat had been created. Family Emergency, it was called. Mom, Jake, and Michelle were in it. I was not. I couldn't see the messages, but I could imagine the conversation. Probably lots of confusion about why their reliable sister-daughter had suddenly become unreliable. Probably some theories about pregnancy hormones or stress. Probably very little acknowledgement that their actions might have consequences. I turned my phone face down and spent the evening with David, talking about baby names and watching home renovation shows. For the first time in years, I felt like my evening belonged entirely to me and my growing family. No emergency calls about insurance problems or mortgage issues. No guilt trips about being the responsible one who always helps out. Just peace and the beginning of understanding that I had been living my life for the wrong people for far too long. By Tuesday morning, the reality of my actions was beginning to hit my family like a freight train. I woke up to 17 missed calls and 43 text messages. The panic was starting to set in, and I could feel it through every desperate notification on my phone. The first call came at 6:47 a.m. Mom's ringtone jolted me awake, but I silenced it and rolled over, David's arm tightening protectively around me. The second call came 2 minutes later, then another. By 7 a.m., my phone was buzzing constantly. I made myself breakfast, scrambled eggs and whole wheat toast, extra protein for the baby, while my phone performed its frantic dance across the kitchen counter. Each buzz was like a small victory. For 3 years, I had jumped every time one of them called. Emergency after emergency, crisis after crisis. Now they were experiencing their own emergency, and for the first time ever, I wasn't rushing to fix it. The irony wasn't lost on me. They had been so busy that they couldn't attend my baby shower, but suddenly they had all the time in the world to call me about their problems. At 8 a.m., I finally picked up my phone and listened to the voicemails. Mom's voice had progressed from confused to worried to genuinely panicked. "Samantha, please call me back. I don't understand what's happening. My car insurance lapsed yesterday, and when I called to reinstate it, they said the automatic payment had been canceled. I can't drive without insurance, honey. I have a doctor's appointment tomorrow." Jake's messages were even more desperate. His voice cracked on the third voicemail. "Sam, I'm serious. If this mortgage payment doesn't go through by Friday, they're going to start foreclosure proceedings. I'll lose the house. I know you're probably busy with pregnancy stuff, but I really need you to call me back. This is an emergency." Michelle's messages started angry, but quickly shifted to pleading. "Samantha, I don't know what game you're playing, but my credit card is now past due. Do you know what this does to my credit score? I'm trying to qualify for a car loan next month. You know I can't afford these payments right now. Just call me back and fix this. Fix this." As if I was some sort of customer service representative whose job was to solve their problems. As if the past 3 years of financial support had been my obligation rather than my choice. I deleted all the voicemails without responding and went about my morning routine. Prenatal vitamins, light stretching, a cup of pregnancy tea. David left for work with a concerned kiss and a promise to check on me during lunch. I spent the morning organizing the nursery and researching pediatricians, deliberately normal activities that reminded me what actually mattered. My phone rang 37 times between 8 a.m. and noon. At 12:15 p.m., I heard a car in our driveway. Through the front window, I watched Mom's sedan pull up to the curb. She sat in the car for a full minute before getting out, probably working up the courage for this conversation. When she knocked on the door, I waited a full 30 seconds before answering. She looked older than I remembered, tired. There were worry lines around her eyes that seemed deeper than they had been just a few days ago. "Samantha, thank God you're home. I've been calling you all morning." "I know," I said simply, not inviting her in. "Honey, I need to talk to you about this insurance situation. There's been some kind of mistake." "There's no mistake, Mom." Her face went through several expressions: confusion, realization, disbelief, and finally a flicker of something that might have been guilt. "What do you mean there's no mistake?" "I canceled the automatic payment. I also removed myself from Jake's mortgage account and Michelle's credit card payments. I canceled the Netflix and Spotify accounts I was paying for. I transferred my money out of the family emergency fund. There's no mistake. She stared at me for a long moment, her mouth slightly open. But why? What's wrong? Are you having money problems? Is David out of work? The fact that her first assumption was that I was in financial trouble, rather than that I might be upset about something they had done, told me everything I needed to know about how they viewed our relationship. No, Mom, David and I are fine financially. Better than fine, actually, now that we're not supporting 3 other households. Samantha, I don't understand. We're family. Family helps each other. You're absolutely right, I said, my hand moving instinctively to my belly. Family does help each other. Family shows up for each other. Family remembers important events. Family celebrates each other's milestones. I watched her face as the realization slowly dawned. The baby shower. Finally. Oh, honey, you're not still upset about Saturday, are you? I explained that to you. It just wasn't that important. It wasn't important to you, I corrected. But it was important to me. Important enough that I spent 3 weeks planning it. Important enough that I bought food and decorations. Important enough that I asked my family to celebrate my first child with me. And you couldn't spare 2 hours. But Samantha, you know we love you. You know we're excited about the baby. Do I know that? Because your actions suggest otherwise. For 3 years, I have been your personal ATM, emergency dental work, car repairs, mortgage payments, credit card bills, family celebrations, holiday gifts. Nearly $40,000, Mom. $40,000 I gave freely, because I thought it was what family did for each other. Her face went pale. I don't think she had ever added it up before. But when I needed something from you, not money, not a loan, just 2 hours of your time, to celebrate your grandchild, you were too busy. You didn't think it was important. Honey, that's different. You never asked for anything before. We thought you were fine on your own. I never asked for anything because I was always giving everything. Do you see the problem with that logic? Mom looked genuinely confused, as if the concept of reciprocal relationships was foreign to her. But what about Jake's house? He'll lose it if you don't help with the mortgage. Jake is 34 years old with a college degree. If he can't afford his mortgage, he should sell his house and buy something cheaper, or get a roommate, or pick up a second job, or ask his employer for a raise. There are dozens of solutions to his problem that don't involve me. And my car insurance? You can pay for your own car insurance, Mom. You know, like every other adult in America does. But the emergency fund was 90% my money anyway. You all contributed maybe $50 a month when you remembered, while I was putting in $200. That wasn't a family emergency fund. That was my emergency fund that I let you access. She stood on my doorstep, opening and closing her mouth like a fish out of water. I could see her trying to process this new reality where Samantha wasn't automatically available to solve everyone's problems. Samantha, please, we can talk about this. We can work something out. There's nothing to work out, Mom. I'm not angry. I'm not trying to punish anyone. I'm simply prioritizing my own family now. I placed both hands on my belly. This baby is due in 12 weeks. She needs a college fund, not a family who will expect her to pay their bills when she grows up. So you're just cutting us off, just like that? I'm establishing boundaries. If Jake loses his house, he'll figure out another living situation. If Michelle's credit score drops, she'll have to rebuild it herself. If you can't afford car insurance, you'll need to budget better or find additional income. These are normal adult problems with normal adult solutions. Mom's eyes filled with tears, but for the first time in my life, I didn't feel compelled to comfort her. Honey, you're being so cold. This isn't like you. You're right. The old me would have already apologized, already been making payment arrangements, already been fixing your problems while ignoring my own needs. But that version of me was enabling all of you to avoid personal responsibility. I'm not doing that anymore. She tried a different approach. What about Sunday dinner? Are you still coming Sunday? I don't think so. I need some time to think about what kind of relationship I want with people who forgot my baby shower and then called me cold for having feelings about it. I started to close the door, but she put her hand out to stop it. Samantha, wait, I'm sorry. We're sorry about the baby shower. It was thoughtless. We should have been there. Yes, you should have. But the apology doesn't change the fact that when I needed you, you weren't there. And now that you need me, you expect me to be available immediately. Do you see the imbalance? She was crying now, but I felt strangely detached from her tears. For years, Mom's emotions had been my responsibility to manage. Her tears had been my signal to fix whatever was wrong, to smooth over any conflict, to make everyone comfortable again. But standing there, 8 months pregnant, I realized I was tired of being responsible for everyone else's feelings. I need you to leave now, Mom. I have a doctor's appointment this afternoon. Can we talk later? Tonight, maybe? I'll call you when I'm ready to talk. After she left, I sat in my living room for a long time, feeling the baby kick against my ribs. Outside, the October afternoon was beautiful, all golden light and falling leaves. In 12 weeks, I would be holding my daughter in this same room. In 12 weeks, I would officially be someone's mother, responsible for raising a strong, confident woman who knew her own worth. I couldn't do that if I was still teaching her by example that women should sacrifice their own needs for everyone else's convenience. My phone rang again. Jake this time. I let it go to voicemail, then deleted the message without listening to it. Wednesday brought a new level of desperation. Jake showed up at my door at 7 a.m. looking like he hadn't slept. His hair was messy, his clothes wrinkled, and he had the wild-eyed look of someone facing financial ruin. Sam, thank God, we need to talk. Good morning, Jake. You look terrible. I feel terrible. I've been up all night trying to figure out how to make this mortgage payment. The bank called yesterday. If I don't have $1,200 by Friday, they're starting foreclosure proceedings. That sounds stressful. He stared at me like I'd spoken in a foreign language. Stressful. Sam, I'm going to lose my house. I heard you the first time. So you'll help me, right? You'll make the payment? I know Mom talked to you yesterday, and she said you guys had some kind of fight, but this is bigger than that. This is my house. Jake, sit down. I gestured to the porch chairs. We need to have a conversation. He sat, but he was fidgeting with nervous energy. Look, if this is about the baby shower thing, I'm sorry, okay? We should have come, but this is an emergency. Tell me something. In the 8 months I've been covering your mortgage, how much effort have you put into finding a solution that doesn't involve me? What do you mean? I mean, have you looked for a second job? Have you asked your current employer for a raise? Have you considered getting a roommate to help with expenses? Have you looked into refinancing for a lower payment? Have you considered selling the house and buying something more affordable? Jake looked genuinely confused by the questions. But you were already handling it. Why would I do all that when you were taking care of it? There it was, the entitled assumption that had been driving our family dynamic for years. Why would he solve his own problems when Samantha was already solving them for him? Jake, you make $60,000 a year. You bought a house with a mortgage payment that requires $80,000 a year to be comfortable. That was a bad financial decision. But I qualified for the loan. Banks will loan you more than you can afford. That's how they make money. Just because you qualified doesn't mean you should have taken it. I thought I'd get promoted by now. I thought my salary would go up. And when that didn't happen, instead of adjusting your lifestyle, you asked me to subsidize it. He was getting agitated now. I didn't ask you to subsidize anything. You offered to help? I offered to help temporarily while you figured out a permanent solution. That was 8 months ago. What's your permanent solution? I thought you would just keep helping until things got better. Things don't just get better, Jake. You have to make them better. You have to take action. So what am I supposed to do? I can't afford the payment. Sell the house. Sell the house? He said it like I'd suggested he cut off his arm. Yes, sell the house. Buy something smaller, something you can actually afford. Build equity instead of drowning in debt. Live within your means. But I love that house. I love a lot of things I can't afford. That's called being an adult. Jake stood up, pacing the length of my porch. This is insane. You're my sister. You're supposed to help me. I did help you for 8 months. I gave you $9,600. That's more help than most people get in their entire lives. But I still need help. No, Jake, you need to take responsibility for your own life. He stopped pacing and stared at me. What happened to you? You used to care about family. I still care about family. That's why I'm not enabling you to make bad decisions anymore. That's why I'm not teaching my daughter that women exist to fix everyone else's problems. Your daughter? What does your daughter have to do with this? Everything. She's going to watch how her mother allows herself to be treated. She's going to learn what relationships look like by watching mine. I want her to see a mother who values herself, who sets boundaries, who expects reciprocity in relationships. Jake sat back down heavily. So you're really not going to help me? I'm helping you right now by forcing you to solve your own problem. Real help isn't enabling dependency. Real help is empowering people to become self-sufficient. That's some therapy bullshit, Sam. Maybe, but it's also the truth. He left without saying goodbye, his shoulders slumped in defeat. I watched him drive away and felt something I hadn't expected. Relief. For the first time in 8 months, Jake's mortgage payment wasn't my responsibility. For the first time in 8 months, I could plan my own budget without factoring in someone else's poor financial decisions. Thursday was Michelle's turn. She called first, then showed up when I didn't answer. Samantha, what the hell is going on with you? Unlike Mom's worried confusion or Jake's desperate panic, Michelle came loaded for battle. She was angry, and she wanted me to know it. My credit score dropped 40 points yesterday. 40 points. Do you know how long it takes to rebuild that? About the same amount of time it took you to destroy it in the first place. I'd imagine. This isn't funny. I was supposed to qualify for a car loan next month. Now I probably won't. Michelle, you're 29 years old. You should be able to make a $300 credit card payment. I can't afford $300 a month. You know I can't. Then you shouldn't have charged $7,000 on the card. I needed those things. What things? She looked flustered by the question. You know, things, clothes for work, stuff for the apartment, groceries. $7,000 in groceries? Not just groceries, other things. Michelle, I've been making your minimum payments for 2 years. In all that time, have you made any effort to pay down the principal balance? I've been trying. Trying how? I've been looking for a better job. For 2 years? It's hard to find something that pays more. Have you considered that the problem isn't your income, it's your spending? Michelle crossed her arms defensively. I don't spend that much. You spend more than you make. That's literally the definition of spending too much. Easy for you to say. You and David make good money. We make good money because we both work full-time jobs and we live below our means. We drive cars we bought used and paid off years ago. We haven't taken a vacation in 3 years because we've been saving for the baby. We eat dinner at home 90% of the time. We buy our clothes at Target and TJ Maxx. Inaganan. But you can afford to help us. That's not the point. The point is that you're almost 30 years old, and you've never learned to manage money because someone was always there to bail you out. Someone, you mean you. I mean all of us, me, Mom, Dad, before he died, Jake when he had money. You've never faced the consequences of your spending decisions. So now you're going to teach me a lesson by ruining my credit? I'm not ruining anything. Your credit card company is reporting your actual payment history to the credit bureaus. That's how credit scores work. Michelle started crying, but like with Mom's tears, I felt strangely unmoved. You don't understand how hard this is for me. You're right, I don't understand how hard it is to live beyond your means and expect other people to pay for it. What about family loyalty? What about taking care of each other? What about the baby shower you couldn't be bothered to attend? She looked genuinely surprised that I was still thinking about that. That's what this is about? You're destroying our family over a baby shower? I'm not destroying anything. I'm just stopping the financial support that was enabling all of you to avoid personal responsibility. This is so selfish, Samantha. You know what's selfish? Expecting your pregnant sister to pay your bills while you skip her baby shower because it's not important enough. I was busy that day. Doing what? I had plans. What plans were more important than celebrating your niece? She couldn't answer, and we both knew it. She hadn't had plans. None of them had plans. They just hadn't thought it was worth their time. Michelle, I want you to succeed. I want you to be financially independent and proud of yourself, but I can't want that more than you do. So you're just cutting me off. I'm giving you the opportunity to grow up. After Michelle left, I called David at work. How are you feeling about all this? He asked. Surprisingly good, like I can breathe for the first time in years. I'm proud of you, he said quietly. I know this isn't easy. It's not, but it's necessary. That evening, I did something I hadn't done in months. I made a budget that only included David's income and mine. No extra payments to family members, no emergency fund contributions for other people's emergencies, No insurance payments for cars I don't drive. The numbers were beautiful. Without the $600 in monthly family support, we could max out our retirement contributions, increase our emergency fund, and still have money left over for baby expenses. For the first time since our wedding, our financial plan included only the people who actually lived in our house. Friday morning brought the consequences I'd been expecting. Jake called at 6 a.m., his voice thick with tears. "They're starting foreclosure proceedings, Sam. The bank called this morning. I have 30 days to bring the account current, or they're taking the house." "I'm sorry to hear that, Jake." "Sorry? That's it? You're sorry." "I'm sorry you're in this situation. I'm not sorry I stopped enabling it. Enabling, I'm going to be homeless because of you. You're going to be homeless because you bought a house you couldn't afford and then chose to rely on someone else's money instead of making a plan to afford it yourself. What am I supposed to do now? What any other adult would do. Sell the house, pay off the mortgage, and find somewhere you can actually afford to live. The real estate market is terrible right now. Then you should have thought of that before you bought a house that required your sister's income to maintain. He hung up on me. An hour later, Michelle called. "Jake just called me crying. How can you do this to him?" "I'm not doing anything to him. His bank is foreclosing because he can't make his payments. That's between Jake and the bank. But you could stop it. I could enable it for another month, and then we'd have this same conversation again. The underlying problem would still exist. What if he kills himself? What if he hurts himself because of this? If Jake is having thoughts of self-harm, he should call a suicide prevention hotline or check himself into a hospital. His mental health is not my responsibility. You're heartless. I'm pregnant. My priority is creating a stable life for my daughter, not subsidizing my brother's poor financial decisions." She hung up too. Mom called at noon. Her voice was different, smaller, sadder. "Samantha, honey, can we please talk? Really talk?" "We can talk, Mom. I've been thinking about what you said, about the baby shower, about the money. I want to understand." "Okay. Yulia, can I come over? I promise I won't ask you for anything. I just want to understand how we got here." I hesitated. Part of me wanted to say no, to maintain the boundaries I'd established, but another part of me, the part that still loved my mother despite everything, wanted to give her one more chance. "You can come over. But Mom, if you start asking me to fix anyone's problems, I'll ask you to leave?" "I understand." When she arrived, she looked older than her 62 years. She'd been crying, and she sat heavily on my couch, like the weight of the week had aged her. "I added it up," she said quietly. "The money. It really was almost $40,000. $38,580. I have spreadsheets." I never thought of it that way. It was always just monthly payments, you know. Insurance here, mortgage help there. I never added it all up. "I know." "And we really hurt you about the baby shower?" "Yes, you did." "Inyam, I keep trying to understand how we got so far off track. When did it become normal for you to pay for everything?" "When Dad died, maybe? I was 26, just married, and suddenly everyone was struggling. You with the house payments, Jake with college debt, Michelle with her first apartment. I had a good job, David had a good job, we didn't have kids yet. It seemed natural to help. But it didn't stop. No, it didn't stop. Every time I solved one problem, there was another problem. And somewhere along the way, it became expected instead of appreciated. Mom was quiet for a long time. I think we stopped seeing you as a person with your own needs. You became our safety net. Yes. And when you needed something from us, just our time, just our presence, we couldn't see past our own convenience. Yes. I'm sorry, Samantha. I'm so sorry. For the first time in days, I felt my emotional walls crack slightly. I'm sorry too, Mom. I'm sorry I let it go on so long. I'm sorry I didn't set boundaries earlier. What happens now? Now everyone figures out how to be adults. Jake will sell his house or lose it, and either way, he'll find somewhere else to live. Michelle will make her own credit card payments, or her credit will suffer until she learns to budget. You'll pay your own insurance, or you won't drive. And us, our family? I don't know yet. I need time to figure out what a healthy relationship with you all looks like. What about the baby, when she's born? I put my hand on my belly, feeling the familiar flutter of movement. She'll know her grandmother, but she'll also grow up watching her mother be treated with respect. She'll see relationships where people show up for each other, where support flows both ways, where love is expressed through actions, not just words. Can we learn to do that? Can we learn to be that kind of family? I hope so, Mom, but it starts with all of you proving you can handle your own lives without my money propping you up. She nodded, tears running down her cheeks. I love you, Samantha. I love you too. But love isn't enough anymore. Love without respect, love without reciprocity, love without boundaries. That's not healthy love. After Mom left, I sat in the nursery, rocking in the chair David had assembled last month. The afternoon light streamed through the windows, illuminating the crib where my daughter would sleep in just a few months. For the first time in years, I felt genuinely excited about the future. Not anxious about the next family emergency. Not worried about which relative would need money next month. Not guilty about spending money on my own family instead of everyone else's problems. Just excited to meet my daughter, excited to raise her in a home where boundaries were respected, and self-worth wasn't measured by usefulness to others. Excited to show her what it looked like to be a woman who valued herself. My phone buzzed with a text from David. How are you doing? I typed back, better than I've felt in years. And for the first time in a very long time, that was completely true.